Yes, I'm filming this on the same day as my previous one because I'm already in the rabbit hole, so I may as well carry on. I'm looking down here. I shouldn't look down here. My screen's down here, so that's why I keep looking down here. How do I make this smaller so it's not as big? I don't know. But anyway, I realised I was also clapping a lot in the previous video, but I talk a lot with my hands, so it is what it is. You can only do so much, you know what I mean? But basically, while I was already down that path, I may as well just go deep into the woods and start talking about like investing and how you should be investing and why you should be investing and why investing is smart, la 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 la. Again, to preface, not financial advice. This is just research that I've done for myself so that I can go on my financial investing journey, and if anybody is interested in like trying to figure out like how to do it all, then I guess I'm just going to lay out the foundations of what I've learned over the past, I want to say 5-ish years since I've been doing this, and things that I would have done or I should have done that I didn't do, but I would, as your big sister, I would tell you to do, because I guess I would be in a better position had I done this before. But to round that all up, I just think that the most important thing is starting if you feel comfortable. So once you've done your research, like just get started, because there's always that thing like, when was the best time to invest? It was yesterday. But when's the next best time? Now. But obviously do your research, look at the risk and everything, because it is like your capital is at risk. But just give it a look, you know what I mean? Just give it a look. Now, why should you start early? Well, there's a lot of reasons why you should start early, but there's two main reasons, and that is the power of compounding. So essentially, if you reinvest what you earned over time, you'll get more returns. So for example, let's just say not using a stocks perspective, but using an investing account perspective. Let's say that you had an investing account where the annual return was 5%. So if you put in £100 into that account, at the end of the year you would have £105. Now let's say that you decided to continue rolling that account. Now you would have £105, and then your following year your interest would not be £5, it'd be more than £5, because you would have had more than £100 in the account at the start. Same kind of principle is that if you reinvest what you earn, so if you use an accumulating account, for example, then that gets reinvested. It's no money out of your direct pocket at that time, but it's all from your money pot. And the second reason why you should start investing early, and the whole principle of like you should have invested yesterday but do it now, is lower contributions over time. That means the earlier that you start, you can invest smaller amounts regularly to achieve whatever the goal is that you set, without feeling like you need to pour loads into it. So an example would be that if you started investing when you were 27, for example, that's my age, and you had an average annual return of 7%, which is better than most savings accounts, to be noted, you'll have earned, or you will have accumulated, not earned because you would have put money in as well, about £100,000 by the age that you were 55, and that's just assuming that you put £100 aside a month, which a lot of people could find a way to do, even though you don't think that you could. But then if you start on the same strength, in the same breath, if I had not started at 27, for example, and instead decided to start at 37, it would take me double the amount per month to catch up. So I would have to take out £200 from my paycheck every single month to have accumulated £100,000 worth by the time that I was 55. So do you see how it works? On the screen I'll put a little graph that I have made. The graph will also talk about things from like I think I have like a couple of things that I want to talk about a little later on as well, but we're mostly looking at the age portion. So if you look at the age at the bottom, and you can see that depending on what age you start, it will depend on like how long it will take to earn a certain amount, but also how much you will need to contribute to get to that same levels of earnings. Whereas if you had done the same thing 10 years earlier, you'd be in a very different position. So just something to think about. The hard part of it is to decide what to invest in. So this is particularly talking about investing in like stocks and shares, etc. I'm not talking about investing in like real estate, currencies, or investing in like jewelry, gold, goods, art, stuff like that. I'm not talking about any of that. That is a whole path that I don't want to think about yet. I don't want to think about NFTs. I don't want to think about Forex. I don't want to think about crypto because all of that is scary. I don't want to think about being on a wait list for an Hermes bag. Okay, I don't want to think about any of that. But essentially what we're going to be looking at is index funds, ETFs and stocks. So index funds are where you like track the specific performance of a group of stocks. So you have like the FTSE 100, which is UK based, or the S&P 500, which is US based, and it's supposed to be diversified, low cost and great for steady growth, and you can usually see historical performance, although you shouldn't put a lot of weight in historical performance because anything could happen. ETFs are exchange traded funds, which are similar to index funds, but they're traded like stocks, so you're a bit more flexible. And then you have stocks where you have individual shares in a particular company, and I kind of gave an example of that in my previous videos, so I'm not going to give it again. But essentially with stocks you have higher risk but potential higher returns, but in the same way, just because there is a high risk, you could also lose a lot. So just something to keep in mind. Some popular options for people in the UK is so I'm just reading because I don't want to say it wrong: Fidelity Index World Fund, Vanguard Life Strategy Fund, and iShares Core FTSE 100 ETF. I've looked into all of them. I'm not going to say if I use any of them or which ones I do, but I just wanted to give you some key buzzwords that you can pop into Google, pop into ChatGPT, pop into, I don't know, Copilot, whatever you're using, and pop into whatever search engine, YouTube, whichever search engine you're using, probably even TikTok to be honest at this point, but pop it in, see what comes up and see what people are saying. And you'll probably get someone who actually is financially qualified to say some stuff, although I'm always a bit not too sure as well about them. Anyway. So how to get started. So it's actually not as complicated as you would think. It's just about knowing where to go, which is why you either need to search it up, go on a search engine, go onto some websites, see some YouTubers, whoever, see some TikTokers, I don't know, and find out. So essentially you need to open or you can open a stocks and shares ISA, which is tax efficient, and in the UK you can put up to £20,000 a year without paying any tax on the gains. So it means that anything you earn for that £20,000 is tax free. You don't have to worry about paying any tax for it. It doesn't count as an earning. You can choose a platform, so there's loads of platforms: Vanguard, Free Trade, Hargreaves Lansdown, Trading 212, Invest Engine. A lot of banks have their own little trading portfolios now. I know that Chase pair up with Nutmeg, which is JP Morgan thing. I think Barclays do it, HSBC. There's like loads that do it if you're a little bit scared to do. And then you can automate your investments, so you can set up a direct debit for a fixed amount every month, and it just feels like a bill at that point, so you don't feel it going. And you can start saving from something as small as £50 per month, or maybe even less, it depends. You might need to have like a starting one, so you might have to put in like £500 for example to open your account kind of with that index fund, but then afterwards it's rolling. You can put in as much as you want or as little as you want at a certain time. The reason I would suggest automating is it makes it feel like a bill, so it's like almost becomes I have to do it, it becomes almost like it's an essential even though it's not. And secondly, it takes out any emotional decision making, because if you start looking and become obsessed with the stock market, you'll see up and downs all the time, and that's one of the things I wouldn't suggest. I wouldn't suggest looking at your investment portfolio from like a monetary perspective very regularly. Like, don't look at it every day. To be honest, don't even look at it every week, because things are changing all the time. From like whatever goes on in the world causes stocks and shares to go up and down, and when you invest in a stock and share, you should go in with the mindset that it's probably going to need to be there for a long time, so it's not quick money. Don't think, oh, I can put this in for like a year and I'll be good when on the other side, because the real gains happen when you leave it in there for a really long amount of time and you go back after like 40 years or something and check it out. Something, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be 4 years, but that's like the better way to think about it. I wanted to share a bit of a practical example. So let's say that you start with £100 per month, and with the assumption that you have 7% annual growth, you'll hit £100,000 in 28 years if you start now. However, if you decide to put in £200 per month rather than £100 a month, you'll reach the same amount, £100,000, but now in 21 years. And it goes on and on and on. If you put in £300 a month, £400 a month, £500 a month, whatever you're able to put in, it compounds over time. So you'll earn more quicker. You'll earn the same amount, but maybe quicker. I feel like I'm not explaining that properly, but the graphs will show you what you need to know. And the tips that I've learned for success is, firstly, educate yourself. Don't make rush decisions. Knowledge is power. Find out what other people are doing. Like I said, trading 1212, you can see other people's portfolios, find out what other people are doing. I think people shouldn't be afraid to talk about money, so even talk about it within your family, your friendship circles, find other like-minded people. I cannot tell you, me and my cousins had a fantastic talk about investments, both in shares and ISAs and real estate, when we were in the pool at Marina Bay Sands at like midnight. Okay, so find people who are interested in the same kind of thing and have those discussions, because you'll be surprised at the knowledge that other people have. Like, somebody might look at me and be like, oh, she knows nothing about stocks and shares, and I'll be like, hun, actually I've been researching for 5 years and I may not be an expert, but I have enough practical knowledge to like get me on the journey. So don't put me down like that. Another tip is to diversify. Diversify. Why could I never say that word? Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, just like you shouldn't with any type of investment. I wouldn't even put all of my money in one bank account. Spread it across, spread it in different types of things. Same with real estate. Don't put everything into one pocket, because like, let's say you have something happens geographically to that area, then all of the property that you have in that area will be affected. It is exact same with stocks and shares. I think it just feels a bit scarier because you don't have something physical. With a bank account, you feel the physical money. With property, you can feel the physical item or whatever, and same with like art, designer pieces, whatever. However, with diversification in terms of stocks and shares, spread it across different sectors. So by sectors, I mean spread it across technology, pharmaceuticals, whatever. And if you are concerned about sustainable things, I know a lot of companies have started doing sustainable funds where they will help and invest in sustainable brands and sustainable companies in general. And then also diversify by region, because it's possible, but if like the whole world stock market goes down, I think we have bigger issues than the fact that your your stocks and shares are gone, because if something really detrimental must have happened for that to happen. So if we diversify and make sure that we have stocks and shares that are spread across the entire world, so not just the US, not just the UK, not just Europe, like, or like wherever you are buying your shares in, like don't focus on only buying Chinese shares, for example, or just Japanese shares, or just shares in Australia and stuff like that, or just shares in Europe, or just shares in the US or South America, wherever. Don't do that. Diversify. You can focus on more, but having a nice spread across region, sector is really good. And that's, I think, a lot of index funds, you can actually see the breakdown of how much percentage they give to which company is in which sector, and which company is in which region, so you can see the spread. I know that a couple will show you a map, and you can see, like, they'll mark on a map, like, or they'll give you percentages of like how much you own, how much of your portfolio is in this region or this region, or in this sector or this sector. So if you're interested, take a look at those. Don't be looking at the fluctuations all the time. I mentioned this before as well, but stay consistent. Investing is a long-term gain. Long-term gain? Long-term gain. That's what I'm trying to say. So don't like think that you can just put your money in and pull it back out, and markets ups and downs, la la. Sometimes buying a stock during a dip is actually better, because then when the stock does recover and maybe even exceed what it had before, you would have purchased when it was in a dip. But again, by being consistent, having a direct debit that goes out. So for example, let's say you get paid on the last week of the month, then maybe the first week of the following month is when your savings go out into whatever index fund or stock or share, whatever you choose to invest in, and it's always invested on, let's say, the first of the month. And so it doesn't matter what the graph's saying, whatever the performance is saying for that day, that month, that week, you are just going to forget all about that and just invest anyway. And again, I mentioned this in my previous video, is have an emergency fund, because again, you never know what could happen, and it's really good to have 3 to 6 months, but some people, for even more security, would like to have 12 months worth of emergency funds, so that they know that they would still be able to survive with their essentials, like rent, mortgage, phone bill, or like just bills, like utilities and like groceries, like eating and stuff. So let's do that. So I hope this helped you decide. First of all, it wasn't deciding, you're investing, okay? I've already decided. I'm telling you, you're investing. How much you're going to invest, when you're going to invest, la la, it's up to you. I would recommend, however, starting sooner rather than later. Do your due diligence and do your research. There's robo-advisors, or if you want to pay a little bit more, you can actually ask a financial advisor, copy somebody on Trading 212 that you can tell kind of knows what they're doing. To be honest, the simplest thing you can do is just start buying some S&P 500 shares. It's usually, that's what I see people doing first. Again, you need to diversify, so you can't just stick to that the entire time, but it's a good place to start. And like, don't be too stressed about it, and see if your bank has any options, like I said, because if your bank has an integrated option, then you have even less to stress about. Read some newsletters, see what other people are investing. Like I said, I'm not sure if Martin Lewis says anything about investing. I'm sure he might. So go ahead and check out Money Saving Expert. That's usually where I go if I ever need something. And yeah, talk about your money, guys. This is what I'm telling you. I saw a TikTok video where this girl found out that she was doing the same job as somebody else, but they were getting paid $20,000 more than her. This is what I'm telling you. Talk about your money, because then you have like a valid reason to be like, excuse me, we have the same job title, we do the same role. Why are they getting 20,000 more than me? I should be getting it also. Just saying. Anyway, I hope this helped. See you, and be careful with your money and start saving so that you can spend it and go on holiday, okay? If you want to go on holiday, or whatever you want to do with it.